Hi. That piece of music is called Roast Beef of Old England. And the reason for me playing it, and also then wanting to try and to play it on my Melodeon, is that it brings back just a host of memories for me when I was a child. My father was in the regiment, the RASC, which then was the Royal Army Service Corps. During our stay out in Singapore, it actually changed its name to the Royal Corps of Transport, so it became the RCT. Just a bit of army history if you're interested. But for me, the most enduring memory of this piece of music was sometimes being allowed to have lunch at the officers' mess. And as a child, this was probably the most exciting time, really, because you were there sitting with the grown-ups at a very, very formal occasion. I only think it happened a couple of times that we were allowed to go in. So this piece of music would play and you'd walk through to their dining hall, and the first thing that greets you is this enormously long table. Absolutely seemed to go on forever. Probably, I don't know how many people it's seated, I can only guess at maybe 40 odd people. But there it was, laid out in all its glory with beautiful white linen tablecloths, I think white damask, and then all silver service. Everything was silver and gleaming and beautiful. And I remember that actually we were having a curry, but it would have been something like a very mild Malay curry. And, you know, for me, just the joy of all poppadoms. I wasn't too sure about all the spices as a child. I was a bit of a fussy eater, but just being there, you know. So I'd be going for the bits of pineapple, coconut and poppadoms. It was probably all I ate, but there you go. So yeah, wonderful, wonderful memories of I think just to have that opportunity as a child to see such an amazing place. We were posted to Germany when I was much younger than that. So sort of between the ages of maybe sort of 6, 7, 8, we were in Germany, and then we were posted out to Singapore. So I was there from sort of 9 to the age of 11. And we came back actually in 1966, just in time for the World Cup. So that's great. And of course, for me, coming back to England was just incredible because of all the music. I mean, I lived for music. When you were out in Singapore, all you got was two-way family favourites or forces favourites, whatever it might have been called then. So you'd get a feel of what was going on in England in terms of the music scene, but it never really played what was really happening. And of course, to come back to England, we were first had a little place in Dover before, because we came back ahead of my father. My mum couldn't fly, just wouldn't fly. So we came back by ship, and we waited in this little place in Dover, it's long since gone, called New Broadleys. And I can just remember getting the first transistor radio. I think it came free with our twin tub washing machine. Remember twin tub washing machines? I get excited by these things. And we got a free transistor radio called Freddie. Why it was called Freddie, I don't know. And we were able to listen to Radio Caroline, Luxembourg, all those things. Although Luxembourg used to come and go with a lot of noises and everything else, but Radio Caroline certainly. So we heard other music, you know, more exciting and very much sort of, I don't know, the sound of the 60s, late 60s coming into the early 70s. It was quite a time for music. That's another story. I'm going to talk about army life as well. I mean, my father was, he was a major when we were out in Singapore, and I don't really know very much about what he did. You know, he went out in the morning, came home in the evening, and he didn't talk about work. I know he was kind of like office-based. I used to go to his office sometimes. I wish he was here. I would ask him now for the sake of this video and say, well, what were you actually doing? He had postings, you know, at the tail end of the war in places like Palestine and things like that. And when we were in Singapore, there was some civil unrest. We had to have curfews and we weren't allowed out, not even to our gardens, late in the afternoon, early evening. But for me, it was all about just playing and swimming and just the joy and the freedom of the place. You know, you'd be running around barefoot for the most part and just shorts and a t-shirt. And I lived for swimming. I used to probably swim every single day after school. School was in the morning. We went early, went on the school bus, and we were done really by about 1 o'clock because it was too hot to continue, and we'd go home. So loads of playtime. My mum would siesta. So I'd probably get up to all sorts when she was not aware. Cycle down to the local village and all sorts of goings on. And so a wonderful time. I mean, when I came back to England, I realised very quickly that actually my education was going downhill rapidly. So I think any child that's been in the army, and around about that time, certainly with all the different moves that we had, sometimes we'd only stay in some places for about 6 months and then we'd be off somewhere else. So I think I've counted up, I've been to 13 schools or something by the time we finally settled down in Brighton when I was 14, and by that time I was very behind, so I had to take my O-levels, there were O-levels then, not GCSEs, and take those exams when I was 17 instead of 16 and all the rest. But you catch up in life, and one thing I know about looking back was I wouldn't swap it for anything. Those experiences of being in all those different places and seeing all the wonderful things that we did, and we were very lucky to go by ship, so we visited loads of different countries. I wouldn't swap it because it's a life experience, and you catch up with education, and half of it, let's face it, when you leave school, do you need algebra? Not unless you're going to be some amazing mathematician or scientist. And you learn other skills in life, don't you? So I always did well, and I always got myself some good jobs and had a very good career. So this piece of music, which I've been seems like I've been practicing it for months and months because I don't get much in the way of opportunities to practice. It's been busier. We've got a puppy. Oh dear, it's like having another baby. We forgot how much work they are. So yeah, here you go. This is Roast Beef of Old England, played probably in my usual not such great style on the Melodeon. And thanks for listening.